All right, hello everyone. I think my stream randomly just stopped, so there might be two live streams up. I'm not sure. I just had it like randomly stopped and restarted. So anyway, welcome to another live Instagram photo critique. And when you're live, anything can happen, I guess, because I was in the middle of talking, and then all of a sudden the live stream just went off and stopped. So please let me know if you're joining in again to let me know if the video and the audio is all coming through okay. Make sure everything is okay before we get started. So anyway, I'll just get my windows all set and ready here, and we'll get started here in just a second. And by the way, if you guys are watching this on the replay and not watching it live, I will make sure in the description box that there is a timestamp of where the critique actually starts, so that you can kind of skip all of this little chit chat in the beginning here while I'm waiting for people to join the chat room, so you can just get right back to skip right to the critique. All right, I think I got everything good to go here. All right, cool. Well, while you guys are joining in, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from, and that's always fun, just where you're watching, what time it is where you're watching. Last time I did a stream, I had people watching from like China and Germany. It's always cool to see where people are joining in from. And if you guys don't have any questions to start off, I see there's quite a few people already joining, and a couple people joining the chat room. Let's see, audio is good, video good too. Okay, perfect. That is good. We'll go ahead and start the critique then. Let me hop over to the Photoshop window, and we'll start here with the first photo. Okay, so my first thought about this photo here is the composition is nice. It's not incredible, but it's nice. We have obviously some foreground rocks down here, which are again just nice. And then I like what's going on back here. I like these huge rock formations back here in the background. And then I really like the clouds. The clouds and the sky are probably my favorite portions of the image. My biggest issue with this image is right here. It's the water. And I'm assuming this is the ocean somewhere, some kind of coastline. And the reason why I don't like this is because all of this is muddy, dirty, sandy water. It's not blue, it's not clear, it's not aqua colored, it's not that nice green color. It's just kind of sad and dirty and muddy. And the reason why, that's not so good on a photo like this is because a photo like this, where you're shooting the coastline, is supposed to be something that's wanting to draw us in and make us want to be at this location. And as I look at this photo, I don't want to be here. I don't want to go to a beach that's kind of dreary and dirty water. So I think that if the water had been, on a clear day, I know that overcast sky isn't going to help the water, be more clear, but it's just obviously kind of a dirty gray day to be at the beach. So what I think would have fixed this entire image is just to turn it black and white. And as photographers, this is why I give these critiques, because we have to think about things like this. What is going to showcase this image at its best? Now, this image isn't a 5-star image to begin with, so there's some things that could be changed. There's compositional elements that could be changed, but overall, it is it's definitely a good enough image to share and post on your blog or something. But as it is, I don't think the colors work. The tonal range is just kind of not working for me. So again, if you could change this to a black and white, I think that right here at the horizon line of the image, everything here up is pretty good. Like I said, I like the rock formations. I like all this texture and the clouds going on in the sky. The tones in the sky are even kind of nice. But everything down here, water and the rocks, even these rocks in the foreground are just look kind of muddy and dirty. So it just feels kind of a dirty beach photo to me. So let's just see if a black and white would really, help that much. Let's just go here real quick, turn the saturation down. See, already, I have no clue now if that water is blue or green or dirty or what. And then if we just add a curves layer or something and crank up the contrast, look at that. You could just crank the contrast like that and then start dodging and burning little bits of the image from there. And then, you're solid and good to go. That already, in my opinion, just like changed the whole dynamic of the image. I mean, you can go like super high contrast if you wanted to, and then just kind of dodge the whites and burn some of the shadows back in. But yeah, I like that a lot better as a black and white because it's already kind of a moody day. I mean, look, if you go back to color, it's a very gray, moody, textury cloud kind of day. So it works as a black and white. So just that, in my opinion, kind of fixes 90% of the issues with the photo. Obviously, a couple of other little things is that, let me get rid of these lines that I've already drawn here. Give me a second. Let's get rid of these. Over here to the right of the beach, right here, it looks like there's people or some kind of sign of human life. I would probably get rid of that, just clone stamp that out so that, again, it has more of the feeling like I want to be there, like on this, this beach, this coastline that I have to myself. Those are the kind of photos where people kind of start dreaming and using their imagination like they just want to be there. But again, I think just the tonal range and the colors don't really work well, so I think a simple fix would have just been the black and white, and that would have fixed most of it. So there you go. So thank you very much to this viewer for submitting this photo as a critique. We'll go ahead and hop on to the next one here. Okay, so this photo, I looked at it on Instagram and I clicked on it, and right when I saw the small thumbnail, I was like, man, this is a cool image. I was actually considering this image to be like the photo of the week that I normally pick as one of my favorites. But then when I opened it on Instagram and it kind of opened the whole image, I saw that it almost looks like two different images, doesn't it? I don't know, maybe I'm just crazy. It looks like down here is like a black and white photo of rocks that were just kind of placed in the foreground. And then up here, it looks like there was like a super colorful sunset that was laid down on top of it. So I'm not sure if the photographer did this on purpose to kind of give this like super weird, tonal range, but it literally looks like everything down here in the foreground is black and white, has been literally converted as black and white. Now, it could be that the rocks are just that bland and lacking color. It really could be that that's just how the rocks are. And if so, then obviously I'm wrong, and that's just how this photo is. But I would have probably changed the composition to be something like this. Like start the photo here and kind of have the photo to be like right here, if that makes sense, kind of in this window. I think the little tree works well. The processing is a little weird on it. Definitely needs help with processing. But the composition, I think the tree in like the lower left third is kind of cool. And the business of the sky is all kind of right here. You have some blue hues going on up here, fading into some pinks and oranges here, and that's really all you need. So I think a crop in the composition would have really changed this, because I'm just not a huge fan of all this mess down here, and because the business of this is like the tree and the sky. So if you think about what the focus is supposed to be on, I'm assuming it's the tree here and the main part of the sky here. So if you look at that, what is the point then of leaving in all this mess, around it? So really think about that when you're in the field, because then you don't have to crop it. But just for the heck of it, let's do a crop and let's see what that really would do. So maybe here, let's bring this up. All right, let's bring this over and bring this down slightly, almost turning it into a little bit of a pano crop. Okay, now look at that. I think that just eliminates so much distraction. It works really well now as far as composition. I'm okay. I'm not a huge fan of these whole silhouetted trees, but I'm okay with it. It's not bad. There definitely could have been a better sky with clouds. There's a lot of things that could have been better about this, but as it is, I think this would have fixed a lot of it, just a different composition. And this is something that, again, you could have fixed in the field by just kind of shifting your feet and moving up, moving down, seeing what works. That's kind of one of the biggest things about being in the field is don't be afraid to take 3 or 4 compositions of the same scene, because you never know which one's really going to work until you get back to the computer and see it on a bigger screen. It's kind of hard to pick out your 5-star composition while you're in the field. Sometimes I know you just get that feeling and it works. But sometimes you really have to just experiment, really. I mean, photography is a big experimenting game. So there you go. I think the crop kind of helped it along. If we undo that, I think that just takes it back to being kind of distracting. I really do like these rocks in the foreground. I mean, I like them like on their own, but it just looks like they were like so desaturated down here, and that this is so colorful, so it doesn't connect. Like my mind can't make sense of the two split tones here, which is kind of funky. Okay, let me hop over before we move on. I'll hop over to the chat window and see what's going on over there. Let's see. All right, hello from South Africa. It's 5:30. Wow, that's awesome. Let's see. Daniel says hello. Hi. How's everyone's day? Cool. I hope everyone is having a great day. And I appreciate you guys tuning in for the live stream. What is today? Tuesday or Wednesday? I don't even know what day it is. When you're a photographer and you spend most of your time like out in the woods and then back here like in a computer screen, you just like lose all track of time. I literally don't even know what day it is. Let's see. It's Wednesday. All right, it's Wednesday. July 18th. Okay, so let's go ahead and hop back into Photoshop and we'll move on to the next photo. Again, if you guys have any other questions or whatever, just keep leaving them in the chat and I'll get back to them. I promise this, I'm not opposed to doing like Q&As on these kind of things, so just keep leaving them in the chat window and I will get to them as soon as I can. So we'll go ahead and hop back into Photoshop and move on with a critique here. All right, so here's one that I think is really nice. I think it's a little over-processed. My biggest thing with this when I first saw it was that it's a nice composition. I can almost see it as like a painting. It's really nice, but I think it's a little too over-processed, little too much editing. I think that the colors in the foreground, like a lot of these greens right here, specifically here and here, the greens are a little too like electric-y green. Now, this is all opinion, right? Because I can't tell you what your style of processing. So this is more of a, not really a critique, but more of a compositional element. And the reason, let me explain. When the colors are so hot like this in the foreground, it's not that, oh, I think you should change your way of processing. It's that I think you should think about doing things a little more strategically. Because if you make the colors so hot right here, the first thing my eye went to was this little path right here. This little dirt path that kind of leads to nowhere. Because the mud or the sand on that path right here is so hot and vibrant that it just immediately, like every time I try to go up here and enjoy, I believe this is Cathedral Rock in Arizona. Every time I try to go up here and enjoy this nice little view of Cathedral Rock, I just keep getting drawn right back down here with this really hot color on the foreground. And it's a shame because Cathedral Rock and the clouds above it is a really nice setting. He captured this photo on a really nice day. I like it. I like the clouds. I like the texture in the clouds. Again, I think it might be just a little bit over-processed, but that's just based on opinion. The biggest thing I can say for the over-processing is mainly just the color down here. So let me just kind of give you an example. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, let's go to adjustments. Let's just pull up a vibrance layer, and I'm going to desaturate the whole image for a minute, okay? We'll just do it a little bit, maybe -15. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to invert that. I'm going to get a little gradient mask going here, and I'm going to drag the gradient mask up to about here. Okay, now look at that. I'm going to flick that on and off. That's off, on, off, on. So that's with the hot colors and without. Now you tell me as a viewer if that kind of helps even out the tonal range, right? There's no one color now that's trying to steal the show away from the main deal, which is back here at Cathedral Rock. I mean, this is the main, at least in my opinion, kind of the main point of interest is this Cathedral Rock and the sky. Everything in between down here is just kind of leading you up to it. So we definitely don't want this to steal the show, this little path and all these little bits of green here. So there you go. I think if you just flick that off and on, you can see right there in the foreground how that just kind of fixes the tonal range and makes it a much more pleasing tonal range to the eye. And it really, it sounds weird, but it fixes the whole flow of the image. Because now my eye, honestly, my eye goes straight to the Cathedral Rock and the sky. And then it slowly starts to creep back down and notice this nice little path and the trees and all the little bushes and cactuses and all that stuff. So be very specific about adding colors in places where you want people's eyes to go, and be careful about adding them in these little places that will obscure the main subject of the image, because any kind of color or angle or lines, all those things control flow in an image. And eye flow is literally everything when you show someone your image. I've always believed that, you know, you show someone a photograph or a print or whatever, and you give them, like, they kind of make up their mind in like 5 seconds. It's like sometimes even less than that. They want to get it in about 5 seconds. And sometimes, you know, if you're doing something on purpose to kind of make people, it's kind of a mystery photo, and make people look harder, you can do that. But something like this, it's an iconic shot of Cathedral Rock. You want people to focus on Cathedral Rock. You want people to get it, but my eye kept going to that foreground. So eye flow is everything. And if you want to learn how to color things properly, and dodging and burning, and how to kind of help that eye flow move along in a composition, check out my landscape photography HDR blending course, because even though it's a post-processing course, I teach you how to wield the light in the post-processing to make the flow through the image kind of work for your benefit, so that your viewers really get it. And the reason why I say this is because keep in mind, there's so many photographers out there that think that their work is going to be viewed by other photographers. And while that's true, that I don't take photos for other photographers. I take photos for people that are going to be viewing it for companies, or for prints, or their own homes, prints for their art galleries. It's not going to be viewed by a lot of other photographers, right? We have to think, how can we take these elements and break them down, dumb them down essentially, right? For someone that just needs to immediately get it and fall in love with it and want it as a print, or want it to hang in their business or their home. A photographer is going to break this down like I'm doing. Technically, they're going to be like, the sky's too blue, the bushes are too green. We want all this fixed and all this gone away and sorted out by the time it trickles down to the client, right? Because the client's not going to know what's wrong. They're not going to sit there and go, I don't like this image because it's too bright down there, or it's too colorful. They're just going to be like, I don't know, something about it just puts me off. Next. And you don't want that. You want everything to be sorted out so that when clients or potential print buyers view this, you want them to just love it. You want them to fall in love with it. And just simple things like that, simple technicalities of making sure that your tonal range matches and the eye flow through the image is easy for the viewer. All that just makes a huge difference. Let me hop back over to the chat window here. Let's see. Hi, great content you've been producing. Thank you very much, Ryan. Let's see. It's Insta Day. That's right. Yeah. Who cares if it's Wednesday? It's Instagram Critique Day. Let's see. Indeed, it does make the path more bearable. Eric, what's your opinion on the possibility that Adobe might release a full version of Photoshop for the iPad? Would you ever use it on the iPad? That's funny. My friend Joseph actually just sent me a link on that literally just a few minutes ago about the full version of Photoshop for the iPad. I think if they do that, I mean, that'd be fantastic. And I think there's no shame in just using the iPad. If that's what you want, and you have the iPad Pro with the Apple Pencil, I mean, the iPad Pro is a beast of a device. It's very powerful. So I think that as long as Adobe Photoshop is optimized to be able to use all the power that the iPad has, then I think we'll be fine, and you can totally ditch your laptop and go with the iPad. It just kind of depends on your workflow and what you want to do, because you can color calibrate iPads. You can color calibrate iPads with the Spider Pro. So you know, it's not going to be any different than using a laptop. You're just going to have it more mobile. So yeah, I think the fact that they're developing a version for iPad is fantastic. Let's see. Buddy says, I don't know if it's a full version, but I'm pretty sure you can use Photoshop on the iPad and it runs rather smoothly. How's everyone's day going? Cool. All right. So let's hop back in and we'll finish this up, and then I'll get back to everyone's questions here. So you guys, again, we'll do a quick Q&A at the end, so keep leaving some questions and I'll try to answer them. Let's hop back in here. Okay, I think there's one more before we get to like my favorite photo of the week. So here is this really, it's a nice view, and I was almost a little scared to critique this one because it is really nice. And I was trying to figure out what could be better and what I didn't like about it. And I think the issue for me is that the waterfall and the stream here is a little too obscured by all of this brush and these little mossy tree branches right here. And the mossy tree branches are actually one of my favorite things about the image. It's very cool. I like the way the light is hitting them. You can see the edges right here of all the little moss is being like kind of backlighted. There's all these little I don't know, these little like dapples of light. Everything is very nicely backlit. You have like backlit trees, backlit tree branches. Everything is being lit from the back here and kind of trickling down. So I like the lighting. But I just think that if the photographer would have shifted his feet over, I'm assuming this is a little bridge or something, shifted his feet over this way, like maybe 6 feet, and shot more straight down the stream, and then still got a little bit of this little moss and stuff hanging over, then I think it would have been a little better. Because I just think that the stream and this little waterfall over here coming from the mill is kind of the main subject, and then everything else is supposed to be complementary. And so it goes back again, and guys, I know I say this every time I do an Instagram photo critique, but it's almost everybody's biggest issue, is ask yourself, what is the subject? And once you figure out what the subject is, make sure that nothing gets in the way of making that shine in the photo. And I think, at least in my opinion, the subject here is this little waterfall and this main little stream, and everything else around it is complementary. But the view of the stream and the waterfall are kind of obscured by all this stuff that I think either a tighter shot, a tighter crop on the image, or just shifting over this way, about 6 feet and shooting more straight down the stream might have fixed all this. So as far as the colors, I don't have a problem. I think the colors are nice. It's definitely not over-processed. The whites are nice and bright in the water. The greens are nice and shiny. There's a nice little sheen on the moss where everything's being backlit. And I like it. I like it overall. I just think that the composition could have been shifted a little bit left, and I think that would have probably fixed everything. So there you go. That is the last one here, and then I'll show you guys kind of my favorite photo of the week. There's kind of 2 of them by the same photographer, and I'll tell you why I like one and I like the other. So here is the photo of the week. This is like my favorite one that I don't really have anything to say. This is a photo, in case you're not in the USA, this is a photo of Horseshoe Bend in Arizona in the Grand Canyon. And this is a beautiful scene, if you've ever gotten to watch sunset here. And so there's 2 parts to this, okay? This is the shot that everybody gets. So this is the iconic Horseshoe Bend shot. There's a million photos like this out there. There's nothing unique or different about this. The reason why I like this one is because almost everybody's shot of Horseshoe Bend that's trying to be, a photographer and look professional, they crank the crap out of the shadows all around the canyon and in the valley and in the water. They just crank the shadows so much and make it way too much of an HDR image, but it doesn't need that. The best part about the textures in the rock here are that as the light creeps through, it creates a beautiful contrast between shadow and light. And that's, in my opinion, that's my favorite part about this image. You have this huge hot spot of the sun right here, which is blown out, which is perfect. I like it blown out. I like that. It's nice. The photographer did a good job at making sure there wasn't too much detail there. And then it's shooting this light all over here and in the foreground, and then all of this, and all of this, and all of this is in a nice shadow. And the fact that the photographer chose to leave that in shadow shows the maturity of this photographer. You know the contrast between dark and light is supposed to be there. It's pleasing to the eye, and I like that. So I love the way he processed this. The composition, again, it's just iconic. Everyone has this shot. He did another shot, which is why I picked this other one as my actual photo of the week. There's this one here. This is the same Horseshoe Bend. I'm assuming it was a different evening, maybe the same evening, I'm not sure. But this shot you hardly ever see. This is Horseshoe Bend shooting down the stream to the left, okay? So this is great because you're actually using the water here, the waterway, as a beautiful leading line that literally goes all the way through the photo. So it immediately takes my eye through the photo, and then I start noticing, oh wow, look, there's a nice little sky up here. He kind of cut off the sun, which is okay. I'm okay with that. There's still this beautiful dappled light all in here. Yet again, he left this in shadow and left this down here in shadow. He didn't try to do too much shadow boosting and HDR toning or anything like that. All these little light pockets are what's making this image interesting. And then right here in the foreground, beautiful way to do a foreground. This nice little rounded rock with the light hitting it. I think this one is great because it's not iconic. It's interesting. It's a new take on Horseshoe Bend. I'm sure there's photos like this, but you never see it. Whenever you Google Horseshoe Bend, you get this one right here every single time. So well done. I like this one and this one as the photo of the week. I think those two are very nice, and I like the unique composition choice here. So there you go. All right, well, as always, I appreciate everyone for taking the time to use the FME Critique hashtag. By the way, if you are just now joining and you want to know how to submit your photo for critique, just post a photo on Instagram and use my hashtag, FME Critique. And when you use that hashtag, it just gets me It gives me the access to be able to kind of sort through your photos and filter them as everyone that's used that hashtag, and then I can throw them into a critique and see if I have something good or bad to say about them. So there you go. If you guys liked that, let me know, and you can start posting your own photos on there on Instagram and use that hashtag, and I can critique those in the future. And I know I promise this all the time, but I'm still trying to get like a good day, like a set day and time to be able to do these critiques so you guys can look forward to them instead of me just randomly popping these live streams on you. Because I know every time I do that, I only get like 10, 15, 20 people watching. But whenever I schedule stuff, it allows way more people to kind of add it to their schedule and their calendar. So I apologize that I'm doing these random streams, but I will get better at scheduling a time for them. So before we end the video, I will hang out here for a minute and let you guys throw in any last-minute questions, or if you guys have a critique on one of the images to help out the people that took the images, that's cool too. And while we're sitting here, I do want to remind everybody that until August 1st, Pro Media Gear, the tripod company, they're still doing their discount for all my viewers. They decided to do, which was so cool of them. They're still doing 10% off of their tripods if you use my coupon code EM10. So until August 1st, you guys can order tripod after tripod from Pro Media Gear and get that 10% off. Which helps a good bit on these tripods. Any little bit helps, and it'll definitely get you a discount. So I'm still loving mine. I'm going on almost 3 months of using it, and they're just great. I mean, they're fantastic. I own the 344L and the 424L. I bought them with my own money, and I don't regret it a bit. I love both the tripods. They're fantastic. I've already had, probably 6 or 7 of my viewers reach out to me and say that they got the tripod and the free bag with it, and that they love it. So thank you guys for giving Pro Media Gear a chance, because I did a lot of research before I found them, and they're a really, really good option if you're looking for a new tripod. So this isn't meant to be like a salesy ad. Like, I'm not saying go sell all your stuff and buy a new tripod, but if you do need a new tripod and you're looking for one, Pro Media Gear is a really, really good option. So, all right, well, I'll hang out here for a couple more minutes if you guys have any more questions, and if not, then I will get off, and I will get out of your hair and stop bothering everybody. So what have you guys been doing today? Anybody been anywhere cool lately, or been in any cool photo spots? You had a good week, hopefully. I had a good weekend. My my 30th birthday was on Sunday, so I got to celebrate with my family and do that, and that was fun. Let's see. Oh, you guys are still chatting about the full version of Photoshop with the iPad. Yeah, I hope they do that. I mean, that would be really cool. I was using Affinity Photo, which is also very, very capable. But to be able to have everything synced into the Adobe Cloud would be nice for sure. Let's see. Ryan says, do you ever do sun stars with your XT2? Did you notice the sun star being really kind of soft? The XT2 and the 10-24 don't produce star points like my 6D did. Yes, Ryan. So I actually made a video about this. I'm trying to remember what video. I'll make sure I link it in the description. The XT2 has a problem when you try to shoot directly into the sun. There's like a purple grid pattern. It like turns purple. There's all these like purple little spots whenever you shoot into the sun. It's an issue with the sensor. So I actually said in a video that I made that whenever it comes to sun stars, I either shoot with my Nikon gear or I shoot with my XT1, because the XT1 has no issue with that. You can shoot right into the sun and there's nice stars. However, I do know what you mean. The XT2 and XT1, they don't produce like really nice spiky sun stars like my Nikon and like your Canon does. So I don't know what the problem. I don't know if it's the lens or if it's the camera or what. But the XT2 definitely does have an issue with some soft sun stars and that weird little purple grid pattern. So I definitely know what you mean. Let's see. Randy said, just got back from San Francisco and Big Sur a week ago. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be going to Arizona to shoot the Grand Canyon in the next couple of months, and then either next year or 2020. I'm thinking it's going to be next year. I'm going to New Zealand to visit all the Lord of the Rings film set locations. And I'm going to be obviously taking you guys along on a bunch of vlogs, and I'll be doing a ton of New Zealand photography, and obviously I'll try to make some courses while I'm down there for YouTube. Let's see. Thanks for the feedback. Wasn't sure if it was my camera copy. Yeah, I did the same thing. When I first got my XT2, I had to Google it, and I started finding that everybody was having that same issue. And then I even went into a Best Buy that had the XT2 on display, and I pointed it right out the window that had the sun shining in. Luckily, the sun was like right out this window, and it was the same thing. It's a big purple grid pattern on there. So yeah, it's just all the XT2s, unfortunately, but it's not a huge deal, but definitely not cool if you're a big Sunstar shooter. All right, well, I appreciate you guys joining in for another live stream as always, guys, and I will see you guys in the next photo critique. I hope you all have a wonderful week, and take care.